Hey guys, Mr. C Silverfox coming to you from Cartagena, Colombia once again. I found a nice little fountain to stick in behind our video today. I want to talk to you today about what I'm going to call emotional jet wash and how to avoid and recover from a bad date or a bad approach. It's going to be a bad date. It's a little bit more applicable. I went on a date last night, it was terrible, and it was really unfortunate. I shared some of this in the group chat beforehand. I met this girl when I was here a couple of years ago. Fucking delicious, she was 21. Total sweetheart. Super open, bubbly, positive, adorable. We had an incredible day and a half. It was amazing. I shared the video on the WhatsApp group of her in the schoolgirl outfit doing a dance. It was fucking incredible. It was literally a fantasy for most guys. We met, we went out for dinner. On the way back, she said, let's swing by my place. She went in, she came back out, and then when we got to the hotel, she changed into a schoolgirl outfit and started dancing to some reggaeton music. And it was literally fucking incredible. So that was last time. So then I lost my phone. I think my phone got stolen or something. We lost contact. I went on Tinder about 3 days ago. I never used Tinder, but I was in Barranquilla, and in the evening, it's really difficult to meet people because after about 8 o'clock, there's no venues, there's no places that people are just walking around that you can bump into people. So in the evening, I was like, okay, what the fuck? So I went back on Tinder. Hadn't been on it for I think I'd only gone on a couple of Tinder dates like 2-3 years ago. And she happened to be one of them. So anyway, I went back on Tinder and found her. And so she swiped on me, I swiped on her, whatever. We started chatting, and then she just came back to this city a week ago, and I was just coming here 2 days ago. So it was just, again, this romantic, let's build on what we had last time. So, we met in person. Now, things were quite different. So obviously in the last 2 years, she's been really hurt by some guys. She's probably gone out with a number of different guys, had the feeling of being used. Now she's 23, wants to settle down a little bit, something serious and less playful. So I didn't quite read how things were going properly in the date, and I look back now at what some of the flags were that I want to pass on to you guys, because these come up in regular interactions with girls. When you're interacting with a girl, well, I guess I might as well finish that story. So yeah, we went out, we had an evening, we went back to the hotel, and then basically everything just totally fell apart, and it became extremely logical and extremely almost like a barter type thing. And so just finished it at that point and left. But it felt like shit because it tarnished the previous memory that was fucking incredible. And it was like an emotional sledgehammer because obviously I had expectations that things were going to be quite exceptional again, and obviously it's always disappointing as a guy. I think far more so, it's far more disappointing when you crave and expect to connect on a deep level, and then that doesn't happen. That's far more difficult to walk away from than just not getting laid. If you just want to get laid, it's not that hard. You can go out and get laid with someone else. But to be able to experience that kind of like somewhat rare connection when stars align and fucking opportunities and fate and all that shit. It's just romantic. I like that shit. So, a couple things to be aware of on a date. And I think when you're really aware of them, you can be filtering women for your time. It's not so much that you're qualifying women, it's just that I want you to recognize that learning this way of interacting with women isn't about, okay, now you're some master genius and you can interact with any woman and turn it sexual and make it into a great sexual time. There's still a huge component of timing, you know, like, and who she is as a person, and there's all these different things that just you have no control over, you know. So the first time I met her, obviously the timing was perfect, the connection was amazing. It was probably one of the best connections I've had with a woman. Definitely top 5 all around, like beyond just the sex, just total amazing connection experience. And then the second time we went out would probably be one of the worst times I've went out with a girl in at least the last year. And So it was quite a contrast. And a couple things that I've thought about after, I think this is what you do. When you have a bad experience like that, you come away from it and you feel crushed, you feel devastated, you feel, I don't know if I'd say used, but you feel like somebody, a friend of mine said, you feel like somebody shit in your soul. And I think that's kind of a good way of putting it. So, a couple things. One, in that moment, I reach out to people that I know that are other coaches. I reach out to them just to get perspective, because it's really hard to have perspective. So I'll usually reach out to Tusk and he'll laugh at me. Or I'll reach out to other coaches and just kind of say, fuck, this happened, I feel like shit. Just get it out there. I think it's a much better way of dealing with it than hiding your pain or going and getting drunk or whatever, right? So that I would say is the first thing. Then the second thing is zero in on your personal responsibility. This is extremely important, guys. Personal responsibility is probably the most masculine trait that there is. And yes, I have probably said that for like 5 or 6 different traits. But right now, this is the one that we're going to say is foundational for you to build into your masculinity. If you want to become a well-integrated masculine man, you have to be very good at taking personal responsibility. So, in the interaction, I don't take personal responsibility for her emotional baggage and shit in her life. But there were signs that I should have picked up on, I should have been a bit more aware of, and I should have valued my time to such a degree that when I saw certain things popping up, I should have just said, okay, you know what? Even though round 1 was so fucking incredible, I'm just gonna walk away. Now, it was much harder because it wasn't, if it was somebody that I just met, you just go, okay, saw a couple flags, walk away. When you have a past experience, there's kind of this thinking of like, no, I'm misreading that flag because I know who this is because of the past experience. But try to not do that. So, what are these flags? We're always talking about these things that come up that should go off and ping your radar and make you tune in more. Okay, well, when you see these, you got to recognize that, this isn't an exact science. So sometimes you'll see a girl do something and it doesn't necessarily mean, get out and run for the hills. Just kind of become aware. If you see a flag, become aware of it. And then if you see a few of them, become more aware of it and then eventually walk. But stay in there and kind of, gauge things, right? The first one for me is gratitude. Huge. If a girl is super grateful for very small stuff, one of my girlfriends here in Cartagena, she's fucking amazing. Probably the nicest, like kindest, gentlest, tenderest person I've ever met in my life. Far better human being than me. And I think highly of myself, but she's probably the most incredible human being I've met. And I think one of the most amazing things about her is she's so grateful of everything. Like, a woman's not there to try and use you for X, Y, Z. When, like the second time we went out, we went out a couple times, and she's 23. We went out a couple times, and, I'll just buy women coffee or something at first, before we get to know each other enough, and then it's like, okay, maybe I'll open up a little bit more and do some romantic dates. But don't do those at the beginning, because you're just going to frame yourself as a sugar daddy, or that you're going to try and buy her affection. So, we'd go for coffee, it costs $8 for 2 coffees or something, $5 probably US. And the second time we went out, she was adamant, I have to pay, she has to pay because you paid last time. And in the West, that's, okay, that might be a feminist kind of thing. But here, it's just this adorable sweetness, like, of course I'm not gonna let you pay. But the fact that she was adamant about it makes me much more safe in the knowledge that, okay, she's obviously not here on the take, and gratitude for the smallest little things. When you said this to me yesterday, it made me feel really special, and I so appreciated that. Thank you so much just for being in my life. Stuff like that. When you see a woman very grateful, and you can try and over time see that it's not a fake act that she's putting on, that's a very good sign. And when you see the absence of that, that should be a flag. So you go out for dinner, you pay her taxi, you you go for coffee, whatever it is, whatever you do, you buy her an ice cream cone. And there's no gratitude. The first time, that doesn't mean she's a bitch and walk away. The first time, maybe she just was thinking she had to go to the bathroom, didn't think of it, right? The second time, the third time, that's where first you want to tune in and go, okay, wait a second, this woman has an entitlement mindset. And nothing you do for her is generating gratitude in her, because her expectations are that you have to do everything anyway. You don't want to be with that girl. It's just going to get worse. You're going to try to impress her and make her feel good if you date her over a period of time, and she's just going to suck you dry and never actually be appreciative of what you give or what you do. So that would be a massive flag for me. Another flag is how they interact with other people. So watch how she interacts with the wait staff if you go to a restaurant or the coffee shop. Watch how she interacts with the guy that asks for money when he comes up to her and stuff. Is she tender? Like, if she's got a rawness to her of like, no, fuck you, get away. Again, not an immediate necessary flag, but something that you probably, especially if you're looking more for a relationship, you know, definitely a flag you'd want to be aware of. You should pull your radar off, even if you're not looking for a relationship. Like, I'm not looking to date anybody exclusively right now, but you know, I only want to be around women that are fucking incredible, and so I'm quite mindful of who gets to have my time, generally. Another flag that you want to look out for is when you can feel something be transactional. Transactional is when you can see that she's kind of doing a cost-benefit analysis. And typically this happens, like the girl last night, typically this happens especially when a woman gets hurt. So like when she's been hurt previously in a couple relationships, or maybe a couple guys used her from a nightclub and it didn't work out so well, or whatever her stuff is. Women go into this mindset. This is why women generally, let's say under 25 usually, have this fresh, bubbly positivity generally, and women over whatever certain age tend to become more and more bitter and resentful toward men, more prone to going into feminism, more prone to being just a dark, complaining type person. Now that doesn't mean that any woman over 35 is like that. I've met probably the most feminine woman I've ever met was 30 in Bogota. She's going to be becoming a femininity coach for our sister brand when we start getting it up. But the most gorgeous feminine woman I think I've ever met in my life. Phenomenal, stunning, 30 years old, super bubbly, positive, very good career, making good money. Like, she's just really got it dialed in. So it's not necessarily or across the board like this, but generally this is why women become less and less attractive as they age. It's not simply because of physically. I would say it's 90% because their energy just becomes so dark and so bitter, and so they become resentful of things not working well, and then they try and become more masculine and controlling to make sure that it doesn't happen again. And instead of rolling the dice on another person, which is what you do when you meet somebody, you're testing the water and rolling the dice. And when you're being controlled by fear, you don't roll the dice and gamble on somebody, you try and control the situation. So when you sense that she's trying to control the situation, which may be, in a masculine sense, she's trying to lead, like the same as salsa dancing, but in real life on a date, she's trying to lead you to the table. She's trying to pick the restaurant. She's challenging your masculinity. Now that could be a sign that your masculinity is just very weak and she's poking holes right through it, and she's kind of filling the vacuum, because it's what women do when you're not a very masculine man. But if your masculinity is fairly on point, it could be just that she's so stuck in her own fear mentality that she can't let you lead and be free and just experience literally dancing with you on the date. She has to try and be in control to make sure that things go the way that she wants. And women get into this crazy fucking mindset, and if this is a woman watching this, don't fucking do this, because it's the most disgusting thing imaginable. Women get into this mindset that sex is not really a bargaining chip, but the thinking goes that I'm not going to give you sex on date 1 or date 2 or whatever the woman has in her mind until you commit, or until you take me for dinner, or until you whatever, you have some kind of rule. You get into this rule mentality, and then sex becomes transactional, because it becomes, when he does X, I'll give Y. And it's very, the energy is very, it's actually worse than interacting with a prostitute. Because a prostitute or a stripper is very upfront, and there's ways around that, which we'll cover in another video, to make things romantic in your interactions with a woman that's used to working around sex. That's actually easier to pull her out of that frame and into a romantic boyfriend-girlfriend frame. That's much easier. When a woman's doing it like transactionally in a quasi-relationship, it's really fucked up. It's really twisted. The sex is going to turn out like shit because there's no free emotion in it. She's not really free. She's actually being logical. She's actually doing like a little quasi cost-benefit analysis while she's interacting with you. It's a very masculine, logical thing. I can't really describe it too much, except that you will pick up on that. And you can pick up on that not just with sex, you can pick up on that with other things. I was with Tusk and I met this, I forget what kind of model she was, some type of model. I went outside a coffee shop to send a voice note, and she walked by, and so I started talking with her, and then I pulled her back into the coffee shop, and Tusk was sitting in a chair beside me. And she's really cute in Bogota, and then we ended up going out the next night. And while we're interacting, it's just that you can feel, and this is something that you're going to feel a lot in the West, you can feel that her emotions aren't engaged. Like she'll be looking the part, while you're interacting with her and you're talking, and she's asking the right questions and nodding at the right times, and everything appears right, but it's like the smell of her feminine emotions is not there. It's like, it's the best way I can describe it. It's like everything is, looking proper, but the microphone's not on or something, and that's just what you have to feel over time. You'll begin to kind of sense it a little bit in a woman when you're interacting, and you can feel that she's stuck in a logical place in her mind. She's talking about what she thinks, what she wants, what her plans are, what you kind of get the sense that she's trying to be in control of her life, which is pretty much the exact opposite of what you want, which is a feminine woman who's very much in the moment and experiencing her feelings and emotions and sort of going with the flow. You're leading the interaction and she's flowing with you in the interaction, and it's fucking crazy and incredible. And it's not about, it's not about a pissing contest. It's not about who's in control of it. It's just when the masculine is leading and the feminine is following, it just works deliciously. And when the feminine woman gets burned and then has like a chip on her shoulder and wants to try and control the situation so she doesn't get burned again, you're not going to win. Like, it's not about winning. The fact is, you've just happened to be the guy that came at the wrong time. So for me, I met this girl at the right time. It was fucking incredible. It was absolutely amazing. Then 2 years later, and I've got way more experience of being masculine and leading and all that kind of stuff. 2 years later, she was totally stuck in her mind and in this controlling masculine vibe, and I couldn't pull her out of it. And so, what I should have done, because actually, to be honest, I knew that about 45 minutes into the date, I was picking up on that. And at the time, I think maybe my ego got engaged, and I was like, no, I can pull her out of this. And maybe the fact that we already had a delicious experience in the past definitely interfered with that and made me think like, no, I can just tap into, the building blocks that we had from round one. And it doesn't work like that. If she's been really hurt, she gets walled off, her tender, vulnerable, feminine side gets walled off to keep her safe, or for her to keep it safe. And you're not getting any of that shit. It's like she's walling that off and keeping it from you. And in the same way, she's walling off her sexuality and keeping that from you. And you're not going to bridge that wall. You don't want to try. Like, you're not going to barter your way into it or like pull her out of that. If you're with a woman and she's totally in emotions and you're connecting really well on an emotional level, that's when you go with it. And when you find out the others happen, you just cut your losses and be like, okay, you know what? I got a bit of a stomach ache, I'm gonna take off, I'm feeling sick, whatever. Get out of there, this is what I wish I'd done. Get out of there, and then the night is still young. Go out and interact with other women. Go and save your money on, because we went for coffee and then we ended up going for dinner. And I mean, it only cost me, I don't know, $5 on coffee and $30 for dinner. So it wasn't a big deal, but it did cost me my whole evening. And I'm only here for like a week, so that's like, 15-20% of my time here. prime time, and I gave it up for something that literally just felt like shit. Okay, another flag. If she starts crying, you know, like, but I don't mean crying like you made her cry, but I mean you're connecting with her emotionally. You get past her wall, and she feels you connecting with her. And it's actually what women really crave. They crave to connect with you. And she's, in this sense, protecting herself because she probably got fucked by a few guys, and the guy was telling her words, I love you, you're beautiful, you're amazing, whatever. And then she found out he had a girlfriend on the side, or a family, or whatever it was, and she felt devastated. She felt used like a piece of meat. This is why I don't think it's a good idea to treat women that way. And after that, she has this protective wall up to protect herself, because she gave the guy everything that she had, and the guy took it and didn't actually connect with her. And she was wanting to give him that to connect with him, and he didn't connect with her because he was being totally false. So that can be really devastating to a woman, especially if it happens a few times. So I get it that it's a defense mechanism that they kind of become that way after having some bad experiences. But if you're the guy a few guys later and you're interacting with her and you start connecting on a deep level, and she starts where like she just has a bit of a tender look on her face, and then tears just start trickling down, and you can feel it's the equivalent of like if you have a really sore muscle and then you're getting a massage and someone puts their thumb right in the middle of the very like epicenter of the pain in your muscle, and it hurts but it feels good, and it's just like this raw, agonizing in the present moment. That's what she's feeling. That's what the tears are. That's a flag in the sense that yes, she's being vulnerable with you and it feels good to connect with her in that moment, but she's got some deep, deep, deep wounding, and you don't want to get into that shit. Like, I would look at it like emotional jet wash. So a lot of the terms that we have come from Mystery, ironically, because he was really into Top Gun, or at least Tusk told me this. He was really into Top Gun, so a lot of the terms that we have, like target or wingman or whatever, are all ones that came out from Top Gun. So I'm going to add to that emotional jet wash. And if you remember that scene where there's one jet and another jet flies through its jet wash and gets completely fucked up and goes out to sea and Goose dies, you don't want to be that guy that flies through her jet wash. She's got this baggage. You're going to spend time with her. You're going to start liking her. Maybe you start having sex with her. You're going to become addicted to her, because that's kind of what happens initially to most guys. You start having sex with this amazing woman. You have one-itis. You don't have other options. She's fucking everything, and you just start blanking out and not noticing all the other signs that you should be noticing. When she has an emotional wounding like that, even if she's fucking gorgeous, stunning, do not go there. Don't have sex with her. You're gonna probably end up getting connected to her, and she's just not in a place where it's gonna work well for the two of you. Much better to just be like, you know what, this girl's like, she's got some emotional shit that's like she's keeping just under the surface. She needs to go and deal with that shit. She's not in a place where she can really connect with someone. And I don't mean connect like, I mean, okay, if you want a relationship, you can take it that way. But if you want a relationship for 3 days, like I love little mini honeymoon romances. You meet a girl and you have an amazing week together in some exotic city. Amazing 3 days together. It's super romantic, fucking amazing. Keep in touch after. The next time I'm in the area, we go somewhere else, have another 3-day or 1 week romance that's just off the charts. For me, that feeds me. I really enjoy that. But to enter into somebody else's emotional pain, get used like an emotional tampon, and then walk away feeling drained and empty of time and money and energy, for what? Sex? When you could go out and meet some gorgeous woman that can be fully present with you, and you can be kissing her and have amazing sex with her. Fuck dude, it's way better. Save your time, go meet that Miss Incredible, and give the other one space to let her work on her shit. So those are some flags for you to watch. Now, if you're really curious about how to interact properly with women, especially latinas or warm-blooded women, now's the time you should be booking coaching. We're going to be, this summer, I'm going to be going to the Middle East for 3 months. Tusk and I are lining up a number of boot camps there. I think 6 or 7 different cities are on the list. So you want to find out about that. Email me below. That's going to be June, July, and August. Email me below if you're in those areas. This kind of stuff is super important to learn. Don't bother wasting years to learn it yourself. Take a coaching course, go to a boot camp, pay a little bit of money, and fast track your learning. Like a year or 2 years, you can get in like a week or two. It's fucking brilliant. Also, Tusk and I right now, it's actually Valentine's Day right now. Happy Valentine's Day. So it's mid-February right now. Tusk and I are going to be doing a 1-week boot camp. It hasn't been finalized right now whether it's in Costa Rica or Venezuela or one town that we haven't gone to yet, which I think is called Pareja in Colombia. Neither of us have been there, but we've heard from a bunch of people that it's just a delicious place to go. It's off the beaten path for tourists, so it's just a delicious place to meet gorgeous, stunning women that have never really interacted with foreigners. So I think it'll be a lot of fun. You should book a course with us. So if you want to come, that's going to be the first week of March. It's going to be fucking incredible. Get in touch with me below, Fox at UpperTier Club or UpperTier.club, or get in touch with Tusk below. His info is below. It's going to be the same rates whether you book through him or through me for my private coaching or through for our co-coaching courses. But it's the time that you're going to get that's really going to take you into the upper tier and give you the kind of dating life with women that you really crave to have. So look forward to chatting to you guys more. Take care, guys.